Hey guys, what is up? It is No Help and welcome back to another video today. So lots of people have been talking about this video right here, why World of Warcraft players are switching to old school RuneScape. I'm going to be watching it today and giving my opinions and thoughts. I will also leave the video link down in the description so you guys can check it out. Make sure to like this guy's video. And yeah, let's just hop right into it.
Why are there so many World of Warcraft players switching to old school RuneScape? You must have noticed them, right? Lurking around the Grand Exchange, trying to parse.
Yeah, it is actually pretty funny. Throughout, if you just search old school RuneScape like on YouTube now, it's like a bunch of new people that you haven't seen before, and they're all coming from WoW.
On a goblin, wondering where their ability bars are and asking how Jagex is managing to update the game rather than re-releasing the...
I think a lot of them are confused on why this game is so popular. It just like they're turned off by the graphics. They think the combat's weird. But a lot of them, I've been watching some of them, they're really getting into the game.
Same exact content over and over and over again. I sure did, because I'm one of those WoW players. A year and a half ago, after around half a month of MMO soul searching, I found old school RuneScape. I had quit WoW after Mythic raiding for around a decade for various...
If you kind of look at this, like this is World of Warcraft, I assume anyways, it looks similar to the evolution of combat, right? You got the ability bar down here, a bunch of different panels here and stuff. So when they hop on to say old school RuneScape, it's very, very different to them, and they can't understand why the game is so popular and big, because it's very different from what they're used to, right?
Reasons. I was sick of the short form, seasonal ethos of the game, devaluing any and all of my progression, sick of the only valuable content being instanced, bored of the binary itemization and samey loot, and disheartened by Blizzard's complacency with the classic incarnation of the game. Clearly, I wasn't the only one. Mad Season, Guzu, Caradus, Savix, and more have...
This guy right here, I've been watching quite a bit. Probably some other ones too, but yeah, they're starting to like really blow up. They're getting like views and views. And yeah, that's what you see when you search old school RuneScape now, but the more the merrier, right?
Have since begun their first steps into this beloved curated sandbox. What about RuneScape seems to have translated for the World of Warcraft player? And why?
Yeah, what started this?
First, we must acknowledge where these WoW creators come from. Unlike myself, most of them are classic WoW players, an old school 2004 incarnation of World of Warcraft.
Yeah, World of Warcraft did like the same thing as old school. I think they did it after. I could be wrong, but they went back to, I don't know, I guess he just said 2004, because people were upset about the main version of World of Warcraft. Yeah, similar to how RuneScape was, really.
Unlike OSRS, though, this version of World of Warcraft is following the timeline of WoW itself. Blizzard has been updating classic WoW every few months with new patches and eventually the very same expansions that released years ago.
And I think that's where the problem is. So imagine if old school RuneScape released its 2007 form, and every update that happened, like, you know, dungeoneering, summoning, the Grand Exchange, the Squeal of Fortune. Imagine all the exact same updates that old school RuneScape got. That's what's happening to World of Warcraft. So there's a reason people left the game and wanted the classic version, and then it's just going to slowly update to become what they don't want. So they already know the future of the game, right? And it's just not appealing to them, right? So I guess that's why they want something different.
The initial release in 2018 is now entering the Mists of Pandaria expansion and resembles Retail WoW, the modern game, much more than it does.
I never personally got into World of Warcraft. A lot of my friends told me to get into it. My dad told me to get into it, but it's one of those things where like I knew if I got into it, I'd be addicted, and I was already busy enough with RuneScape and liked RuneScape, and it just looked too complicated for me.
As classic WoW or vanilla WoW, the version from 2004. It's interesting to imagine a version of old school RuneScape that just kind of began releasing all the same updates, eventually ruining the game.
Yeah, if they did that, the game would die out. And it's weird because there's that 2004 Scape project, and they're kind of doing that where they're releasing all of the content that was from 2005 and 2006, and I don't know until when they're going to stop, but like you kind of know the updates that will happen. A little odd.
For the very same players that returned to it because it lacked those updates.
Exactly.
Blizzard understood and saw this as the player base continued to shrink. Therefore, they opted for the seasonal servers that remixed the standard classic vanilla WoW experience. The Season of Mastery and eventually the Season of Discovery. These year-long servers run down the line of all the same patches that were released between.
Oh, so they're a year. They last 1 year. That's kind of interesting. They might be popular. Like it's weird because like we have things like the leagues where I don't know if they're on for like 2 months and they're extremely popular, but at the end of the 2 months, that's it, right? You can never log into the game again. Imagine a year. I think that might be really fun, maybe for people that are competitive, but after a year, if all your progress gets deleted, then like what's the point? I feel like people play MMOs so that they can keep their progress, you know what I mean?
2004 and 2006 with some updates. The latter, Season of Discovery, or SOD, introduced runes and granted all kinds of player power in the form of new abilities and
like
many old ones from future expansions, as well as reworked some of the raids and even added one new raid toward the end. It was an interesting experiment. Finally, Blizzard released the Classic Anniversary servers, so just Vanilla Classic, again, for a second, or some would argue, fourth time. That's the first point.
That's what I feel like the problem is. If they're just releasing the same thing with like small little changes that aren't really that significant, they'll be popular, but like they'll die out really quick, especially if nothing's changing. All the people that, this is my opinion, but like all the people that say like sailing's bad for old school, or we don't need this, we don't need that. Yeah, you want to keep the game old school, but if you don't have updates, the game will die.
Point to take note of. These creators love WoW. Even I, to a certain extent, still do as well, especially Classic, a version of the game that I think is most tangibly an MMORPG. It's wonderful, yet regardless of your love for it, anything exceptional that I think is most tangibly an MMORPG. It's wonderful, yet regardless of your love for it, anything exceptional becomes dry over time, especially when not allowed to exist in our mind. Being fed the same thing, as great as it may be, over and over again doesn't foster a larger community. It pushes those sick of it away.
True, yeah, you need to innovate.
Increases in time. The repeated cycles of Classic aren't getting any fresher, and next time Blizzard relaunches Classic servers, chances are they'll see even less popularity. Similarly, Blizzard has floated the idea of a Classic Plus. This has been a long-running desire from the player base. Instead of re-releasing the same content, why not add truly new content to the game? In many ways,
yeah, that's exactly what Old School does, right? They add new content to the old version of the game, and I think that's why a lot of people are really confused, and they say the graphics are bad and this and that. The game is amazing. They just have the old style. It's just weird because they add updates to it as if it was back in 2007, if that makes any sense.
SOD was experimenting in that regard. Sadly, I'm a bit concerned with this. First, Blizzard's survey that introduced this idea was filled with nothing even remotely interesting systemically. It had a whole host of quality of life features such as account-wide collections and graphical improvements. Essentially, they were pitching retail WoW features alongside what Blizzard does most confidently: instanced content, new raids, dungeons, and so on. I suppose that's what people want, but I also think that this will kill the game down the line. You can add new skills, new
I actually agree with that, right? It is cool, like, for example, if you go to raid with a bunch of friends, right? But if it's an instance area, even like in RuneScape, you just don't see them. Like, you walk up to the lobby of the raid, 10 people go in, or 5, I guess, in Old School, and then they're, like, in an instance, and they're doing it by themselves. Instants are good for a lot of things, but it is cool to walk up to a tree and start chopping it, and there's 5 other people doing that with you. It's not in an instance, it's in an open world.
Classes, however, disregarding the architecture that makes most of these things function is an issue.
I will say WoW looks really cool, though.
That's because the modern version of WoW is competitive and singular in its vision. It has an exceptional combat system that is the sole point of interaction with the rest of the game. By comparison, Classic WoW is emergent. It wouldn't be far-fetched to say that it is defined by its leveling experience more so than its endgame. Because endgame in Classic WoW, the farming for pre-raid bis and then raid logging, isn't the most evocative or unique feature. Leveling through the enormous uninstanced open world, forming groups to take down elites and brave difficult quests, finding ways to solo bosses, just running through the dense jungles and open plains.
I actually like that. It's similar, obviously, with RuneScape too, right? Like when you're leveling, you're starting up the game and you're leveling up for the first time and going through everything. It's a lot of fun, and obviously people want to get to the end game content and do the raids and farm and collection logs and whatever. But I don't know, there's just something about the actual leveling and the progression with the whole MMO aspect that I guess WoW is missing these days.
Classic WoW. The endgame is held together by emergent interactions never intended by the developers and seemingly never acknowledged since. The interpersonal relations of managing 40-odd raiders, the faction collusion, the war effort that saw, in my opinion, one of the best game series ever created.
2 million views.
Even the collective flight paths to gather meticulously timed world buffs. These are the heartbeat of the game that aren't retained by just improving graphics, adding instanced player housing,
yeah, these are pretty bad.
New class. This survey saw Blizzard double down on things that are neat, I guess, but aren't what actually makes Classic WoW good. With all of that out of the way, we must also acknowledge the lull that Classic is currently in. The anniversary servers are chugging along with the 100-odd thousand players still logging weekly, Season of Discovery has ended, and the modern version of Classic WoW, Jesus Christ, there are so many versions, is entering an expansion that
is another problem in itself, that there's this many versions. Like, we've got Old School RuneScape and RuneScape 3, that's it. So you either play one of the two, and most people choose Old School rather than RuneScape 3. I think with all these separate little games and stuff, it definitely splits the community up. I could totally be wrong, but it just seems like that anyways, right? Some people play this one, some people play that one.
Most original players aren't likely to return to.
Yeah.
During this lull,
that's the exact same as RuneScape. Like the RuneScape 3, the original players won't want to play that type of the game.
People want something, and that something, for whatever reason, is Old School RuneScape. RuneScape and WoW have a combative history with one another. I'm sure older players remember just how competitive.
Before this guy even says anything, it was either you played RuneScape, or you played World of Warcraft, or you were an Xbox kid.
Competitive and defensive these two groups were. The RuneScape versus World of Warcraft videos on the fledgling website known as YouTube were a not uncommon thing to see. The arguments at a lunch table, the friendships broken or lost, all of it laid a foundation for many experiences in the mid-2000s. And a singular truth was birthed from the din of childhood tribalism. World of Warcraft is better because it's for people whose parents are generous enough to front $15 a month.
Wow, that's crazy. That was another thing too. Another reason I didn't actually try the game was because it was really expensive back in the day. I remember somebody said it was like $1 a day, and this was back when I was a kid, and I was like, that's crazy. Because I think RuneScape came out to something like 25 cents a day, maybe even lower than that. So yeah.
For a subscription. Meanwhile, RuneScape is the kids game for losers who can only get $5. Or none bucks.
$5, yeah.
In the beleaguered free-to-play worlds like jobless.
And even if you look at the difference in graphics back then, from the classic WoW to Old School, like WoW looks a lot better, you know?
Middle school peasants. At that point,
school peasants, that's crazy.
Was on top of the world. It was reaching its subscriber peak and growing. While RuneScape was undeniably a cultural force, it was always the lesser of the two.
The younger brother.
Times have kind of changed since then. World of Warcraft's popularity, while still at the top, has waned. The game has stagnated.
I don't like I said, I don't know too much about World of Warcraft, but I believe these are different what do they call them? Seasons or different, I forget what the hell they call that, but it's like huge updates that happen to the game.
Failing to reach a new audience. Meanwhile, RuneScape has died and been rebirthed twice. Old School RuneScape has not only been growing, it has been thriving, especially in the past
I was just going to say the past like couple of years.
Where the player count has almost doubled. This is thanks to exceptional updates focusing on the early and mid-game experience and
the guy was saying that WoW, or what does he call it, retail WoW, which is like the evolution of combat, it focuses like way too much on the end game, and that's it. Where old school focuses on the, I would say, a lot on the mid game, a couple good updates a year on the end game, and then also a lot on the early game, so that new players have a good experience. We also have the mobile version.
External community-driven marketing from creators and Jagex alike.
True.
Leagues, the limited-time Season of Discovery-esque but way crazier game mode released in late 2024, saw more than 200,000.
Yeah, 200,000, and now we're getting like 120, 130,000 every day when there's nothing special going on.
Current players, and now the game is reaching up those figures without the help of leagues at all.
Exactly.
For reference, this is more concurrent players than the total individual raid logs in Classic WoW's Anniversary Edition every week. In July, we're seeing the release of the final part of the newest continent, and shortly after that, Oldschool's first entirely new skill, Sailing, which is expanding the world in ways never before seen in the game.
Yeah.
Is that all it takes for the conversion for the
It's not sailing
to give it a go? Not entirely. OSRS offers certain similarities in experience that are worth mentioning, like the emphasis on emergent gameplay. Emergence is when unique, surprising interactions arise from engagement with standard systems in a video game. For example, in WoW Classic, it was the coordination between half a dozen guilds to time their world buff drops for the most amount of players to make sure there are no overlaps. These are methods of interaction never explicitly designed by the developers. They emerge thanks to player need and creativity. My favorite emergence system in Classic WoW was learning Dire Maul tribute runs on my Hunter all the way back in 2019. Not only was it a difficult solo challenge, but selling the loot and buffs to different players was a really cool way to earn money. These things don't exist
the MMO
in
aspect.
WoW. The game has been meticulously designed to be balanced and competitive. Therefore, any outliers such as this are immediately patched out. There's even a refrain popularized by players calling out this behavior. Fun detected, they say in unison as Blizzard removes an emergent
fun detected, let's eliminate it, you know what I mean?
Mechanic that may trivialize something. In OSRS, this happens less. The line between exploit and emergence is thinner. It is also encouraged with the existence of the wilderness, a zone where PvP is enabled and upon dying, you drop your loot. If you are not the aggressor, or unskulled, you retain 3 of your most expensive items, and if you are skulled, the aggressor, you lose everything. There is a tangible risk-reward in the wilderness that makes it unlike anything else in theme park MMOs. It has singles areas for one-on-ones and multi-combat zones for group fights, fostering a truly sprawling and occasionally...
Yeah, it's really funny. People always are like, oh, look, this game looks stupid and simplistic, and what? But look at how fast like his mouse moves.
Terrifying environment. It has its issues, but is ultimately a totally unique element of RuneScape. The open world PvP during Classic WoW's heyday was kind of similar to this. If you decided to play on a PvP server, it wasn't uncommon to run into roving warbands of bloodthirsty players farming honor points on random people. It created a hide-and-seek leveling experience that definitely got tiresome, but was crazy nonetheless. This system is only begotten to wilderness in old school, so it's a bit more manageable there. Of course, in PvP...
So this was like the whole world was like PvP, I guess, instead of like one area.
Nowhere near as punishing in WoW as you only lose time, but the general ethos of open PvP is worth considering as a point of interest. OSRS has emergence that extends far past PvP too. It wouldn't be far-fetched to suggest that the vast majority of PvE bosses in RuneScape have emergent mechanics defining them. Whether it be safe spotting Dagannoth Kings, butterflying Akka, soloing Cox, and anything
Soloing Cox, what I do every day.
Even the skilling in OSRS is often thought of as an emergent experience thanks to tick manipulation being a valid method for a lot of players. It also has an effective blend of communality and solo expression. Some of the most difficult content in OSRS is solo. However, the experience of playing the game itself is a lot more communal. Not in the sense that it demands grouping.
It's a good way to
That's
put
not
that.
the only method of multiplayer communality. Just being around others is enough. Because the game isn't linear in its progression. It's a
That's a really good way to put that. And also, like, you can be doing a lot of solo activities, but you see, like, all these people walking by, so it makes it feel more real rather than an NPC walking by, for example, right?
sandbox. No zone is ever out-leveled or outright devalued.
That's another huge thing. So like Lumbridge will always be relevant. The place you start will always be relevant. I was there today doing a farm run, and I've been playing the game for the one account anyways for over 5,000 hours. So very, very true.
You are just as likely to see high-level players in Varrock, the second city most players go to, as you are in the elven city of Prifddinas.
Exactly. Probably more in Varrock.
Not only does this make the game feel more alive, it also creates the emergent experience of seeing someone, as soon as you zone in, wearing way cooler shit than you are.
Oh yeah, everyone remembers this.
Aspire to as a result. This is of course dead in retail WoW thanks to the overabundance of cosmetic overrides applying
Evolution of
in-game
combat
visuals to anyone.
Exactly the same as RuneScape 3, bro. There's so many similarities with WoW. Ugh.
Anywhere, making it impossible to tell if someone is a badass because they cleared a mythic raid or just swiped
they bought
their
it.
credit card
Yep.
or farmed an old piece of content while watching YouTube videos on another monitor. Classic WoW, at least the original version, didn't have cosmetic overrides, so being able to actually see what someone is wearing lent a credible aura of authenticity to the game world and its player base.
I get that you want to maybe like wear an outfit all the time or an item you really like, but does it really make sense for cosmetic overrides? They're very stupid. We can't do that in real life. Like I've never liked cosmetic overrides. I don't know. They're just stupid. I don't agree with them at all.
Everything felt of that world, and the items being worn gained an aesthetic value.
Exactly.
They were recognized. The legendary armaments were legendary. That has since faded in time thanks to the repeated launches and eventual mastery of all the content, but it did exist at one point. Because it's persistently updated, OSRS never lost that, and while certain gear may be less impressive today than it was in 2015 or 2005,
another really good point that he's making is I, again, use this gear, Guthins, today on my alt account for farming gargoyles because it has a healing effect. So even though it's level 70 armor, it's still best in slot in some places, right?
New gear has taken its place. Seeing someone in Sanguine Torva or the newly released Radiant Oathplate armor, especially if they achieve these things on an Ironman, is incredibly impressive. Just having that communally recognized value promotes more people to seek that recognition. After all, flexing your hard-earned achievements is a core part of existing alongside other people, whether it be in-game.
Yeah, like ever since I was a kid playing this game, I remember I never knew what a skill cape was, and I saw a guy in a fletching cape fishing, and he had the cape on with the hood, and I was like, that is the coolest item I have ever seen. I want one. And I realized you had to, spend hundreds of hours getting a 99 for it, and then when you wear it, people can tell that you spent hundreds of hours, so,
Or not. World of Warcraft, at least right now, is failing to offer a permanent home for its players, asking them time and time again to recreate the same characters and re-experience the same events.
Bro,
That's another thing. I've been playing my Iron Man account anyway since 2017. So for years on years on years, and I never run out of stuff to do.
wish Classic WoW Hardcore
This
had
is the guy
these
I've been
challenges.
watching.
Goodness gracious, man.
Hey, that's not bad.
These are so
That's the
cool.
last bat wave. I have a decent amount of prayer.
This is exactly what I've been
56
asking
also
for
had a bit of a
forever.
sketchy lore, but not one that I haven't done before.
It's funny, I criticize retail WoW for becoming a fleeting seasonal experience that devalues everything you've earned in a new patch, but Classic WoW has become that too. With every new incarnation, it resets everyone back to zero and asks them to run that treadmill again. Blizzard is plagued by the disease of seasonality. They seem incapable of creating anything outside of that paradigm because it is the only way to foster continuous engagement in their eyes. Perhaps that's more a fault of the theme park MMO than it is
I wouldn't like to play a game like that personally. I don't know.
of their own creativity. The Season of Discovery, being seasonal in name, also operated this way. It had incremental level gates, 20, 30, 40, and so on, that acted like miniature expansion releases with a new raid, some new content, and new abilities and other stuff. Blizzard, being tied to this seasonal model, was terrified of making players feel like they need to catch up to their friends, so they caught up for them. Level boosts, experience boosts, and so on. It became so disconnected conceptually.
Every game has this problem, man. The second they add pay to win to it, or any type of paying, or just making the game easier.
From the original classic, the original vanilla, the experience people originally connected with, that it asked them to skip it entirely. Expediting the leveling in classic is like offering maraschino cherries as the dessert itself. It's like the rosemary being garnished by the steak. It makes absolutely no
This guy
sense,
says things really
and
well.
caters to a demographic of players that exist antithetically to an MMO. The genre is defined by persistent engagement, a world that continues living, but by promoting momentary engagement for incredibly short periods of time, you create artificial bursts of popularity and then long lulls where most prospect players don't want to join because it looks dead. But here we are.
Let's take a look at that. These are the different releases, so it's like popular goes down, popular goes down, popular goes down, popular goes down. Yeah.
Today, players clearly want some kind of emergent experience in a growing game. One of my favorite examples of this was actually in Classic WoW's anniversary servers released only a little while ago. OnlyFangs, a content creator-driven guild conceptualized by streamer Sodapoppin. It was a communal experiment, a creator house like you'd see back in 2016, but done in World of Warcraft. It was a persistently running reality television show that tested the mental fortitude
So they've done this with like Minecraft, a bunch of games.
Of all those involved, because OnlyFangs was less so about the game and more so about people interacting with one another through the game.
You think that's look at that is insane. Oh my god, holy shit! No, P-Mob, you've gotten every single item!
You get a drop.
He's gotten it, and it's good for Warrior! You've gotten every item, bro! Listen. I'll pass if you come to my stream and rate my physique. Wait, what? Alright, get in. Holy you shredded, bro! What the I was not expecting. Is that a bodysuit?
I thought that was a moist critical for a second.
Actually huge. What's your body fat percentage?
I followed Tyler 1's journey through the guild's rise and eventual dissolution. Tyler 1 is, of course, another streamer, popular for his abrasive and somewhat controversial personality and exceptional League of Legends play. Never having played Classic WoW before, he ventured into OnlyFangs with an open mind. OnlyFangs was created on the hardcore server, meaning that if you die, you lose your
Did they take that
character.
from RuneScape too? Let me know down in the comments.
The guild ran alongside a host of add-ons, or in RuneScape terminology, plugins, that created race-driven competitions. Undead, Tauren, Orcs, and Trolls.
It's another thing that's always kind of made me not want to play WoW is the whole classes thing. I understand it, and it does make sense that like a magician can only cast spells and whatever, right? But I just like on RuneScape you can do anything, right? And you're not locked to just be one class.
All competed against one another through this external system. There were raffles, battles, arguments, and everything in between. During this process, I watched Tyler 1 learn the game, go from meandering around, keyboard turning, and sometimes forgetting to attack, to running a 40-man raid. His interaction with different content creators, his fabricated drama with Sodapoppin, his insistence to essentially roleplay a rise to power, narrativized the entire experience. It did so well that when he died, it became a legendary moment within the community. While leading a raid into Molten
that's
Core,
actually pretty cool.
Battling the fire elemental Baron Geddon, Tyler 1 was faced with a decision. Go for the kill, DPSing down the final few percent and healing through the AoE explosions, or play it safe, run away. His fatal call was to DPS, go full hog as they say, Zug the Zuggler, full send, and his shouts echoed.
It's crazy to me that there's this many people like in a raid. Like I guess we can do that on Old School, but it's usually like 4 or 5 people. I solo it, so.
Through the voice call, unaware that many had already begun to run. Because when a death means a reset of your progress, it's every man for himself.
Go back in, everybody back in, everybody back in. I'm dead pushing big heals. Big heals on me! Big heals on me! I'm dead pushing.
The heart rate monitor, that's crazy. I don't even know what the guy's health is. It's at the top there, I guess.
Big heals on me! You can't listen! Finish it! Don't run, finish! Finish, don't run, finish!
There's no way he dies here. Oh my god, you have died. Oh, that is crazy. Yup.
The boss fell, but not without the death of many of those brave enough to fight alongside their war chief in his final moments. This felt like the end of the story, and for many it was. It was facilitated by Classic WoW, by the hardcore servers, by the raid itself, but this existed only due to the emergent methods through which these creators decided to approach this re-release. Why do I bring this up though? For an OSRS player, it may be obvious. This happens all the fucking time in RuneScape. Not on the same scale as OnlyFans and Sodapoppin's achievement of managing to wrangle in.
So many content creators do hardcores. They play them for years and years and then die, or maybe a month and die, right? We just recently lost number 1, I think, or number whatever the hell he is, that Alcan, one of my favorite content creators. He just lost his hardcore, rank 3, I think it was, something like that. But yeah, and he spent probably 20, 30,000 hours, maybe more than that on that account, so.
The egos of dozens, if not hundreds, of content creators for months was unlike anything I've ever seen, but in a microcosm. This is RuneScape's most common creator-driven element. The best comparison is Deadman All-Stars, wherein a large OSRS content creator solo mission teamed up with Jagex by obtaining a custom server wherein 35 of the largest content creators in the game created teams of 5 in a full PvP version of the game. Almost every area became dangerous. In these servers, all 35 creators had expedited experience rates and drops, and a bit over a week of time to gear up for the finale. A King of the Hill style one-on-one deathmatch where they donning the gear they've collected or put to the test against one another. The 10-day period that this event spanned was amongst the most fun in the game's history, as following the individual and group-wide achievements and battles became so many people's day-to-day habit.
It's crazy to me because I don't even really do PvP. I don't even do this part of the game, and I still find this content really interesting to watch because I like RuneScape, right?
Battles fought, the gear lost, the upsets, the strategies, the drama. It felt like a condensed version of OnlyFans buoyed by each creator's personality, loudest of which was Odablock.
Yep.
Odablock is the largest old-school RuneScape streamer. He, much like Tyler 1, is an abrasive, controversial figure with a huge fan base. He's also one of the best PvPers in the entire game. He was the captain for the Odablock Warriors, and throughout this event, they became, in some ways, the focal point, the core narrative. Odablock recruited what was considered to be the strongest set of PvPers. They were the only ones capable of defeating the solo mission snakes, a team labeled as this season's villains. This was because they had a rather toxic player that received a yellow card for potentially stream sniping. This was made worse by this player's previous history of less than honorable behavior, to put it simply. On top of this, many felt as though the snakes didn't have a particularly fun way of playing, as they locked down a specific area of the game and farmed it, all the while taking on group fights to snowball their growing advantage. On the day of the finale, tensions were high. Odablock broke over 100,000 concurrent viewers, and simultaneously the Old School and RuneScape streams had a collective concurrent viewership of over 150,000. To say that this event gained traction would be an understatement. As the Warriors began their first fight, it wasn't looking good. good players fell early, and in this King of the Hill style system, the person who defeated the other remained in battle, granting the opposing team the ability to snowball an advantage. The cards did not look to be in the Warriors' favor,
Nope.
but Odeblock himself hadn't yet stepped in the ring. As the bell rung and his character moved in, he disconnected. His entire home was DDoSed, and the competition, for a brief moment,
You
was
hate to
put
see
on
it.
hold.
Of the Warriors, what can he do to claw this fight back?
Come on, you are Odeblock. Play like Odeblock.
No, I think this is actually a tactical decision with
Really?
his sigils. Yeah, he's got the sigil of the
Interesting.
meticulous maid, so he's got that extra 40 accuracy bonus. So he can afford to sit in this tanky Verak skirt for some of the freezes.
That's so annoying.
Instantly or after a little bit?
So, somebody did ask me, bro. It has to be because I didn't even start yet. I didn't even start yet. As soon as I crossed the border, I DC'd. Wow, that's so fucking cringe. I don't know what to do. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what to do because the phone, the hotspot,
Insane, man.
It can't hold it. It can't hold.
Are you able to change house? People are spamming. I'm not sure if that's viable. Like, how long would it take you if that could happen? How long would that take you?
I could try it. Yeah, maybe like 5 minutes. I could just run to a different house.
He rushed over
That's
to a friend's
crazy.
home, mouse and keyboard in hand, in an effort to continue the fight. However,
No.
it just wasn't the same. It is one thing to play on a friend's setup, and that alone doesn't
Yeah.
feel great. But to do so in such a high stakes,
Streaming as well.
high skill competition, it's borderline impossible. While he performed admirably, his misclicks were noticeable. The precision needed to play old school RuneScape well is beyond any other MMO, so even a small change in setup create massive gaps in performance. Ultimately, the Warriors performed well, but they did not win. Their matches were the most
Yikes.
watched, and in many ways, after their elimination, that story concluded.
Yikes, that sucks, man.
I bring up these two somewhat similar examples to showcase an overlap, a way to engage with the game that sometimes doesn't put the game first. This engagement uses it to uplift something else entirely, a community-driven event, a creator-designed story, a personally aspired
here we go.
goal. The overlap between Old School RuneScape and WoW Classic isn't systemic. These games aren't similar. As Sodapoppin said while watching some OSRS videos, RuneScape is the bane for WoW players. It utilizes an entirely different skill set that doesn't translate.
Yeah,
Think
no,
that would
100%.
be a
It's very
point
different.
Of aversion, yet it isn't, because the point of connection is far more important for a lot of people. WoW players might be looking for something more permanent as they currently linger in the seasonal lull, a period between when their progress finished.
Yeah,
and when they
100%.
must
Like that's literally 100% what it is. They want something to be more permanent.
start it all again. A point of reflection that surely has some ask, why do I want to do it all again? To
And again.
summarize, the
And
lull
again.
that World of Warcraft is in currently, as every version of the game is between releases, has made its most prolific content creators branch out. This may not
Crazy,
be
man.
a permanent investment, but it surely is interesting to see. These two old titans of the industry are
And like with something like YouTube, Twitch, streaming, whatever, right? The more people, like say all these fans of the people who are playing RuneScape now that, you know, they're going to bring more and more and more people into RuneScape because they loved watching them play WoW and they love them as a content creator, but now they're playing RuneScape, so maybe I'll check out RuneScape. You know, it's gonna really boost the player base by a lot with all these streamers and YouTubers coming to RuneScape.
still rubbing shoulders, but the balance of power might have started to change. If there's ever a time to visit Old School RuneScape, it's now, on the
True.
cusp of its largest update. The benefit of it
Sailing.
being a curated sandbox is that each edition
It's very cool as well. Like all these World of Warcraft players, say they build their account up for a couple of months, you know, get to really used to the game, and then they actually get to experience a new skill on RuneScape with everybody else. So that's a very good point. It's a great time to start this game.
is additive. The game has only become larger with time. It doesn't cannibalize itself with seasonal content. That alone could be something interesting to players that have become so accustomed to being cannibalized. I was one of them, after all, tired
Yep.
of spending months earning what became cosmetic overrides devalued.
Yeah, man, like I've been going for Twisted Bow for a year. Imagine I get a Twisted Bow and then the season ends and it's just a cosmetic now. I'd be pissed.
By a glut of cosmetic overrides. WoW felt like it was shrinking, not in player base per se, but as a world. With every addition, with every update, the amount of land expands, but the relevant content only inhabits a smaller and smaller fraction of it. It was refreshing to step into a world as persistent as my kitchen and the roof over my head. The long-form nature of Old School RuneScape's progression incentivized me to pursue the grind, rather than recoil from it, because I knew that every time I inched closer to my goal, that goal wouldn't leap ahead.
Yeah, that's why I've always played Old School RuneScape. Every time I log in, even if I just do a 5-minute farm run or, you know, light a couple of logs or kill a boss 1 or 2 times, every single time I log in, I make progression that gets to stay permanently forever, and you could slowly over the years see your character really progress, and that's why I've been addicted to the game.
By miles every half year. It would remain, and a new goal would be added somewhere between or somewhere after. Retail doesn't offer a home, even when the developers are hard at work on the player-owned housing system, because retail is as acommunal as possible. There is almost no emergence within its body because the intent of the game has disconnected entirely from its roots as an MMORPG. There is no core leveling experience, no overworld organization, no coordination needed for anything that isn't small group instanced content. It's a game split down the middle, a single-player lonely adventure through a barren overworld, flitting between checklist slop and the next instance dungeon, and the instance dungeon itself. For those that love this about retail, the ability to...
So basically what he's saying is there's all these, like, I don't know exactly, but there are these little towns that you walk through, and the content is all instanced, most of it anyways, so it kind of feels like almost not like an MMO, right?
To hop into a game and in a weekend find yourself caught up to everyone else, that's perfect, and likely why most would feel alienated by RuneScape. On the other hand, Classic WoW offers a bountiful leveling experience. The heights of OnlyFangs were never the raids, they were the journey to get to them. The leveling of Classic is, for those who do it, amongst the best gaming experiences because it effortlessly mixes flow state calm with heart-pumping danger, especially on hardcore servers. Old School RuneScape is something different. It is a game on a separate path. Matt Season is a classic WoW content creator who has cataloged his journey into Old School RuneScape without guides, and for those who have watched his videos,
I think I might have seen 1 or 2.
Matt Season is pulling from game knowledge outside.
Yeah, this is what I mean though, right? So somebody like this has 482,000 subscribers, and now they're showing their audience RuneScape. That's going to bring a lot of players in.
Of his classic World of Warcraft pool, because the skill set he obtained through WoW has not translated.
Not at all.
The appeal of slowly, often arduously moving through the world and becoming lost in the maze of systems and incomprehensible functions has evoked feelings that leveling in Classic once did. Not today.
That's really cool, honestly.
When leveling has become expected and understood, but back then, before the re-release, when every step felt fresh.
Very, very, very good video by this guy. I will leave the link down in the description. Quite enjoyed that video, and he had a lot of really good points about it and kind of why a lot of the World of Warcraft players are switching over. And it would be for the same reason, right? Like there's a lot of microtransactions in the original game, similar to RuneScape 3, and then they kind of just keep releasing the same thing over and over again with the Classic, and they're not making anything new. They're just releasing what players already know about, right? So they kind of know what to expect, and I guess players are just fed up with it and want something new. They want their progression to save, and over the past couple of years, Old School RuneScape has got so many new players, and we've got mobile and stuff like that too. The game's growing, it's pretty big, and I guess they just want something that's more sustainable and that they can play and progress. And you know, if they want these PvP, we've got it. If they want skilling, we've got it. If they want bossing, raids, we've got it. And if you want open world content, we've got it. And it's the MMO aspect is there with RuneScape, and it's just growing and growing. So yeah, I always thought about trying World of Warcraft. The game itself looks phenomenal, and a bunch of my friends that play RuneScape, they've always played RuneScape. They said that if they had to choose one game, it would have been World of Warcraft. So it is one of those things where I should have given it a try, but I knew I would probably get addicted to it. I've watched a lot of videos on it, and it does look fun. But I'm not a big fan of the whole season thing either, and the whole resetting and stuff like that. I understand the game's very fun, but I don't like the fact, like the guy was saying, the world is so big, but it feels like there's no content, and I think that is the problem. But yeah, anyways, let me know down in the comments below what you guys think of this. This is a very, very long video, but I thought I would react to it and check it out. Very, very good video. But yeah, I will catch you guys in the next one. See ya later.